Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Fiction Network. Ultimate. Overwhelming intelligence, crazy evolution of my abilities. Xia Yuan travels to the Ultimate series, but is he reincarnated into the Xia Lan Xingde family? As an ordinary person in his previous life, he possessed memories and consciousness from 2 lifetimes, as well as the bloodlines of the Charan Xingde and Yehenara families, becoming an unparalleled supernatural genius that has never appeared in the entire 12 realms, demon realm, and spirit realm. His talent and physique are unparalleled before, and there is no one to come after. Be the number 1 in the 12 time and space. Just born, it triggers a celestial anomaly, and the demon lord and demon lord of the demon world descend. 4 years old. The power index is 8,000 points. Unlimited evolution of abilities after cultivating them. 8 years old. Travel through time and space, broaden your horizons. Fight against the black dragon, crush the black dragon, save the rain dragon and thunder dragon. Create a faction. At the age of 12, his psychic ability index was unfathomable, causing heavy damage to LV Bu and Dongzhuo. First met Sun Shangxiang, De Qiao, and Xiao Qiao. At the age of 14, he competed with the old masters of Moxibustion Dance and Yehenara. Victory. 16 years old and he is 20 years old, with a golden time and space plot. openingFeilu novel network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. 1 birth, the oscillation of 12 time and space. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. This is where Xia Yuan wanted to look around, but found it pitch black. The body is warm and cozy, just like soaking in an ocean full of sunshine, comfortable and warm. But soon he heard the sound outside. Xionggu, you should eat more and supplement your nutrition. After being pregnant for so long, you have lost weight. Okay, I got it. A simple conversation instantly made Xia Yuan understand his situation. He has traveled. And even crossed over to become a fetus. The most important thing is he seems to have you traveled to the Xia Lan Xingde family. In the fetal form, he is unable to move or even feel the presence of his own body, just an initial form. Just as Xia Yuan was thinking about how to get through these boring 9 months. Suddenly. Buzz. In the pitch black space, he couldn't see it, but he seemed to sense the presence of something. The sky was pitch black, with colorful dots of light emerging, constantly converging towards him. A continuous stream of light dots, like a vast galaxy of stars. Xia Yuan didn't know if he could see it, but his sense was so clear. The influx of light dots made him realize that he seemed to have a clearer sense of everything around him. This is energy. He had a vague concept in his mind, and after the dots of light condensed, he felt as if he could manipulate some kind of energy. Ability. The word flashed through his mind in an instant. I don't know why, but he felt that his mind seemed very sharp, thinking, reacting, understanding, memory. All seemed to have received a very terrifying reinforcement. Is it? Xia Yuan thought of a possibility. The fetus is not conscious, consciousness is stored in the brain, and it travels through and brings consciousness, which means bringing all the intelligence, thinking, and spiritual power from previous lives, while the fetus continuously enhances its own brain. In other words, as explained in the novels he read in his previous life, he has traveled through 2 lifetimes and possesses terrifying spiritual power far beyond that of ordinary people. With the addition of the genes of the Charan and Yehenara families, his talent and intelligence are highly likely to become the most terrifying existence in the history of the entire 12 realms. That is to say, he is now started practicing supernatural abilities in the mother's womb. Time flows. During this period, Xia Yuan was constantly absorbing and manipulating energy. As time passed, his brain became clearer and everything from his past life was deeply imprinted in his mind. He had a strong understanding of various things. For example, during this period, with the continuous evolution of his brain, he constantly strengthened his way of cultivating abilities. Abilities. Energy. Xia Yuan sensed the energy in front of him, which was visible under his induction. As time passed, he not only saw the energy, but also analyzed its internal structure clearly. What is presented under his induction is the veins of supernatural energy, as well as the condensation and gradual absorption of energy into his body, all of which have become a visible process in his eyes. During this process, he constantly analyzes, thinks, and seeks a way to absorb energy faster. The appearance of energy, before absorption, is determined by gravity. The better the talent, or the better the cultivation, the greater the gravity formed by oneself. After absorption, energy is transformed into the body and condensed into one's own special abilities and combat power, and this condensation process. The importance of the cultivation techniques practiced by psychic practitioners. The better the technique, the faster the conversion. The process of condensation is naturally visible, and under induction, it can even sense its own veins and the veins when energy is connected. If mobilize energy, change one's own context, accelerate the process of absorption, transformation, and cohesion. He muttered to himself, making changes. In front of him is the body and energy, but in his eyes, the body and energy in front of him seem to have become thousands of different colored lights, and he is using energy to modify the light, making the veins of light and energy fit to the highest power energy. It's different attributes of energy, different veins, and the veins that need to be modified will also be different. Time flows. With his continuous improvement and refinement, he absorbs the energy of supernatural powers faster and faster. January. May. August. Xia Yuan felt that his body could gradually be sensed, and his eyes were no longer empty, but pitch black, and the energy was still visible under his induction. During this time, Xia Yuan was already familiar with moving energy to different parts and veins, in order to absorb, transform, and condense energy the fastest, achieving the goal of extremely fast cultivation. Quickly. Born. Looking at the pitch-black scene in front of me. However, Xia Yuan vaguely felt a weak suction, and after his body had formed, it had fulfilled its mission to take him away. Xiong, how are you feeling? A familiar voice is heard. During this period, he can naturally hear the voices of the outside world. It's okay. Who am I, my male brother? The domineering and proud voice echoed back to the stomach. But it's also strange. Since I became pregnant with this little guy, I feel that the energy around me has become very strong, even my ability index has increased a lot. Isn't it this little guy, a supernatural genius? The sound outside is somewhat puzzled. Whether it's healthy or not, just be healthy and safe. The man outside laughed. It's better not to. Just like Xiaoyu, it's good to live this life simply, healthy and safe. The domineering voice softened a lot, with one hand gently caressing the stomach. The voice carried a few strands of softness, prayers, and hope. Time. September. Xia Gongguan. Outside the room. Xiao Lu sat on the chair, and Yi Siren nervously crossed back and forth. Inside the room, Xiong Ji's painful cries were heard, enough to show how painful it was. As time passed, the cries grew louder and louder, as if they were about to be born. At the moment when Xiong Gu screamed loudly. Suddenly. Xiao Lu suddenly stood up. At the same time. Roar. At this moment, the sky burst like thunder, and a fierce roar suddenly sounded. Subsequently. This. Under the shock and disbelief of Xiao Lu's expression. The heaven and earth in front of me have undergone a great transformation in an instant. The sky was originally clear, and countless lightning flashed from the clouds. Thunder flickered between the clouds, and in the blink, a strong wind surged from all directions. In the surging strong wind but there were countless colorful flowing lights flashing, seemingly the energy of supernatural powers, condensing from that day on earth and constantly rushing towards this place. And under the increasingly shocking gaze of the summer flow, the energy continuously condensed, and in the end, it was as vast as the sea, condensing the sky and the world. Let heaven and earth shake with it. Countless clouds scattered. To the end the entire iron space. Everyone was shaken by it. Countless supernatural beings, whether they are the righteous or the demonic, or even the 11 time and space beyond the iron time and space, seem to sense something. Countless gazes gather in the sky in an instant. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 2 Demon Lord and Demon Lord of the Demon Realm take action. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Teak United Alliance Headquarters. This is. A middle-aged man's figure appeared in front of a tall building, looking into the sky. He had a magnificent temperament, not angry but majestic, with a sense of solemn dignity. Tianqiong. It is a faint rainbow light, but in his eyes, that rainbow light is actually various supernatural energies between heaven and earth. The faint colorful light seemed to condense into the images of wild beasts, forming a scene of 10,000 beasts worshipping on that day in earth. Moreover, there are supernatural phenomena that form dragons and phoenixes, roaring and roaring between heaven and earth at this moment. These energies coalesce, forming a towering sea, earth shaking, and converging towards a place, as if welcoming something, and as if sensing something, causing turmoil in the world. And this phenomenon he has only seen it in ancient books about supernatural powers. The birth of the Qilan. A celestial anomaly. In his eyes, there was a shock. In ancient books on supernatural powers, he once described a phenomenon that he thought shook the 12 time and space, made the demon world tremble, and attracted endless supernatural phenomena from heaven and earth. And that existence in the future, becoming the first person to achieve the power of the 12 realms, leading the 12 realms, killing millions of demon armies, and suppressing the demon lord, will also be the most glorious time of the 12 realms in ancient books. And the vision in front of me even this kind of scene. Far beyond the ancient records of supernatural powers. He was shocked in his eyes, but more importantly, there was deep sorrow. This is the territory of the Yehenara family. Manner. In the garden, Yehenara, the head dressed in white, seemed to sense something and looked towards the sky. This. So much energy. Facing one place. Is it? He seemed to have thought of something, his eyes wide open. Who the hell is it? Iron time and space. The entire power world. Countless psychic travelers felt the sensation and looked towards the sky, only to see that energy, as vast as a vast ocean, converging towards a place, with colorful lights flowing faintly, bringing good fortune from the sky. 10,000 beasts gallop, accompanied by dragons and phoenixes. Just. Most people don't know what happened, they just feel shocked by everything in front of them. After all, they have never seen such a shocking phenomenon appear. So much energy, it's simply shocking. In the end. What happened? A psychic speaks but cannot find the answer. Xia Gongguan. Yi Siren and Xia Lu both felt a sense and walked to the corridor, looking towards the sky, where they could see the scene before them. Their eyes widened in an instant. Even if it is as strong as Xia Lu, this existence that makes the world of demonized abilities wary is still wide-eyed at this moment. Especially he saw those energies surprisingly heading towards Xiong Ji's room. This. A middle-aged Xia Lu with slightly white hair, her fingers pointing towards the sky, her calm and solemn face filled with disbelief. Qilan, the Kiran has descended. This scene has appeared in ancient books about supernatural powers. Qilan, also known as Qilan, refers to a child who is far superior to supernatural geniuses and exists for thousands of years. And where this energy refers, Xiao Lu's gaze suddenly turned to the room where Xiong was producing. And at this moment, he suddenly had a tense expression, and a terrifying aura filled his body in an instant. A magnificent and powerful energy condensed in his hands. At the same time, he immediately turned around and looked again at the sky, with a look of disgust and nervousness. I saw the originally colorful sky, suddenly countless black threads of light emerging from outside, constantly heading towards the sky. The bright sky was instantly pitch black, but the illusion of heaven and earth did not dissipate. Under the dim sky, countless colorful faint streams of light accompanied the full energy of the sky, heading towards a certain place. Countless terrifying oppressive feelings. From the sky above that day, beyond the iron time and space, cracks appeared one after another, and those black lights kept hovering and swimming, as if searching for something. The most terrifying black light among them formed a huge palm, a breath that scared all the righteous and demonic beings in the entire iron space, slowly emerging. Magic. Demon Lord. Xiao Lu's hands condensed their energy to the maximum, his eyes fixed on the giant hand. As soon as he sensed this, he would immediately take action. However, Xiong's screams came to an abrupt end. Replace it. It's a clear baby cry. At the moment when the cry of a baby appeared, the myriad beasts and colorful lights in the world seemed to have found their destination, trembling wildly, as if all the beasts were worshipping. With the cries of babies appearing, after the worship of all beasts, the energy between heaven and earth seemed to have completed its mission, gradually dissipating from all parts of the world, and the illusion gradually dissipated and disappeared. Disappeared, magic language, a deep, hoarse, hellish voice echoed back and forth outside the iron space, intermittently reaching the ears of all the psychic travelers in the iron space. And the black radiance energy between heaven and earth suddenly erupted, as if unwilling to give up and wanting to continue searching. Unfortunately, the illusion of heaven and earth has dissipated. Finally, countless black lights gradually dissipated in the distance of the Xia family, accompanied by unwilling low growls. The pitch-black sky gradually turned back into a clear sky. Feeling the dissipation of the demonic energy between heaven and earth, Xiao Lu finally breathed a sigh of relief. Half loud. He withdrew his gaze and looked towards the room behind him. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 3. The oscillation of the supernatural realm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Buzz. 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 The Xia Lan Xingde family is far away. Shadows appeared one after another. These are all from tracing that energy. Among them, this includes the contemporary leader of the Iron Time and Space Alliance, the contemporary leader of the Yehenara family, and some powerful power families. Just tracing back to the distance of Xia's house, the energy dissipated, directly cutting off all clues. Xia Yuan opened his eyes. In front of me. It was black and white with a hint of color, and the black and white light shone on him. He involuntarily let out the cry of a baby. This is a natural response of the body. He didn't know what was happening outside, but just after sensing the outside world, countless majestic and powerful energies rushed in from all directions, condensing around him and protecting his smooth birth. There were also countless energies inject directly into the body, strengthen his body, and transform it into his energy. So, did you give birth to a Qilin? Xiong looked bewildered. But isn't Xia Yu a muggle? How could? She can't believe it. If it weren't for her father telling her, she wouldn't have known that when her child was born, there was a strange phenomenon that shook the entire Iron Time and Space. Even Demon Realm. There have been oscillations, and countless demon lords, even demon lords, have personally taken action to investigate. Such a shocking scene in the entire history of iron time and space. Never seen before. This. Xiong looked at the baby in his arms with a worried expression on his face. The demon world is very turbulent, even now, outside the iron time and space, there are still countless demonic energies hovering, and those demon lords have not given up yet. It should be that the demon lord Diablo personally ordered it. The demon realm. It is absolutely not allowed to have a second Qilin. The sound of Xia Lu is heavy. Time. A few hours have passed since the illusion, but the demon world has not given up. In ancient books, the recorded Qilin made the entire demon world tremble, fear, and fear. Since then, whenever a vision appears, it will attract the intervention of the demon lord in the demon world, directly killing the supernatural genius who has not yet descended. Even though iron time and space have the protection of white path psychic practitioners, they are unable to stop the demon lord at all. This has led to the emergence of psychic geniuses with visions, either captured or unable to be born, resulting in the power of the 12 time and space it's getting weaker and weaker. And the recent vision. Unprecedented. This directly led to the fact that the current demon world has not given up yet and is still being searched. The Iron and Steel Alliance. Xiong Ji's voice was heavy and incomprehensible. It's useless. Xia Lu shook her head. Once discovered, even the leader cannot be saved. That day's vision is enough to prove it. Demon Realm. Directly tearing apart the magnetic field of iron spacetime special ability protection. The determination of the demon world is evident. Not to mention it. Iron time and space, as well as the demonization ability Walker, as a demonizer of iron time and space, how could a white savior be allowed to appear? If you want to protect. Only. Xia Lu's expression was solemn and unquestionable. Hide. No one can be allowed to know about him. Xiong Ji's expression has never relaxed from the beginning until now. Half loud. She looked at Xia Yuan in her arms, her gaze gradually softened, and after a moment of contemplation, her voice spoke slightly softly. This little guy. It's called Xia Lan Xingde Yuan Ba. Xia Lu murmured to herself, Xia Lan Xingde Yuan, Xia Yuan. Good name. Kites fly fiercely in the sky, fish leap in the abyss. The kite flies to the sky, symbolizing that the wicked have gone far and are not harmed by the people. The fish jump in the abyss, symbolizing that the people are happy and wish for peace and health, which is what we wish for. She truly deserves to be my Xia Lu's daughter, and indeed has culture. Xiong looked at Xia Lu and blinked. There were a few strands of confusion and doubt in my eyes. As if speaking. She doesn't seem to think so much. Okay. In the future, my precious son will be called Xia Yuan. Yi Siren hugged Xia Yuan, his eyes filled with uncontrollable joy, happiness, and tenderness. I just hope he. Being able to grow up happily and safely, healthy and healthy. Xiong Gu spoke up, saying that she didn't have too many extravagant requests, only the simplest ones. Just like Xia Yu. I don't care about any special abilities, Kiran. I don't want to. Just when Xiong Gu is about to speak. Suddenly. Xia Yuan's body emitted a faint light. Xiong Gu and Xia Lu looked around Xia Yuan with a bewildered expression. Energy manifestation. Ulabaha. Xia Lu directly unleashes his powers, and the energy between heaven and earth is invisible. He needs some kind of power to strengthen his eyes in order to see it in a short period of time. Under the gaze of everyone, countless energies between heaven and earth were uncontrollably moving towards Xia Yuan's surroundings. Xia Lu and Xiong Gu fell silent for a moment. It seems that my grandson is destined to be unable to be ordinary. Xia Lu let out a helpless bitter smile. But in my eyes, there is more anticipation. Ordinary psychic practitioners need to practice in order to condense their abilities, but their own grandson, who has just been born, has so many psychic powers condensed into his body. This phenomenon, even if he and Xiong want Xia Yuan not to cultivate supernatural abilities, it's impossible. Iron spacetime. Power realm. Since the illusion occurred, for a few days, the calm that had arisen after the end of the main demon battle was also shattered by that illusion. Countless white power practitioners have noticed that in the power broadcast, the broadcast of the Iron Conquer Alliance constantly reminds all white power practitioners not to go out recently. Obviously, something big seems to have happened in the world of supernatural powers. At the same time, many psychic beings have discovered that some demonized psychic beings who no longer appear after the war have deployed again, even breaking into the territory of the White Way psychic beings multiple times. This includes the Yehenara family's Imperial Guard, the Jueluo family, and so on. And on that day outside the dome, you can also vaguely see the black mist shrouded, making the sky gloomy during this period, giving people a feeling of suppressed darkness. In the end, what happened? Countless psychic practitioners have raised questions. Finally, some news is spreading. It seems that it's because the previous vision, a powerful Kirin with the ability to oscillate through 12 time and space, is born. Once it grows up, it will be very powerful and may even surpass the legendary Ultimate Iron Man. Of course, no one can verify the truth of this news. Time flows. Soon. In the year following that vision, the oscillations in the power realm gradually dissipated and calmed down again, as if the previous vision had never existed, and the countless messages were also known as that illusion may just be a false one. After all, it is not very similar to what happened in that ancient book. It may only be due to the disorder of time and space, or it may be someone who accidentally opened the energy mouth of the supernatural realm in various news that is not known for its authenticity. This strange phenomenon gradually fades away. Power realm. It seems like a calm has been restored again. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. For 4 years old, 8000 power index. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time flies. At the age of 1, Xia Yuan began to consciously cultivate supernatural abilities, which shocked Gong and Xionggu. 2 years old, with a power index of 2000 points. 3 years old, with a power index of 5000 points. 4 years old, my younger brother was born in the summer. Summer mansion courtyard. Buzz. Xia Yuan stood up from the ground. His body is small, his white cheeks are ruddy and fleshy, and he is very cute. Although his facial features are not open, his eyes are watery and vivid, as if there is light shining in them. He was just operating his cultivation method. That's right. It is the cultivation technique he created within his body. With continuous improvement, his body absorbs energy faster and transforms it faster. In just a short amount of time. His powers just make rapid progress. Xiao Xiyuan. Just as Xia Yuan got up, Xia Lu walked out of the living room door with a smile and looked up and down at Xia Yuan. How about it, what is the power index? Since the illusion caused by just being born, coupled with the involuntary cultivation of abilities by the body after birth, Xionggu has understood that Xia Yuan can never live an ordinary life. Of course, Xionggu and Xia Lu are both very clear in their hearts that from the moment of birth, Xia Yuan, this child, may have been destined to be extraordinary, and even in the end, may have saved the current decline of the 12 realms. Becoming the only savior of the 12 time and space. But before that, Xionggu and Xia Lu were even more aware that Xia Yuan could not reveal any supernatural abilities in the outside world, let alone let the outside world know that their Xia Lan Xingde family had developed a supernatural Qilin. Otherwise, before they grow up, they may be targeted by the demon world and demonized power practitioners. Even the demon lord and Yehenara sect leader will take action. At that moment, even the Iron Conqueror Alliance could not protect them. Even as a practitioner of supernatural powers, it is inevitable that traitors will appear, so only Xionggu and Xia Lu know all the information about Xia Yuan, and those who know Xia Yuan's identity only Xia Lu, Xionggu, Yi Siren, and Xia Yu, while the midwife who helped Xionggu give birth was deleted by Xia Lu using the rewind deletion memory technique. Xia Yuan stared inside his body. Half loud. He spoke somewhat unsatisfied. Talent. It's just 8,000 points. Xia Lu's body paused slightly, and her smiling expression froze. Dot. 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 Especially when Xia Yuan said that, it's just. Xia Lu only felt a surge of qi and blood, as if a mouthful of old blood was about to spit out. Is that all? Is that all? Is that all? Is this human language? Xia Lu fell silent for a moment, not knowing how to answer. 8,000 points of power index. I am already considered a mid to high level superpower practitioner. When he was 4 years old, he was still playing in the mud and didn't understand the concept of supernatural powers. It wasn't until he was in his teens that he gradually cultivated to 8,000 points and made great progress all the way, becoming one of the geniuses in the supernatural world at that time. But his genius was not worth mentioning in front of Xia Yuan, who had already cultivated 8,000 points of ability index at the age of 4. And the most important thing is my own grandson in front of me. A year ago, the power index was only 5,000, but now it's already 8,000. So 5 years old. 6 years old. 7 years old. Even 10 years old. 20 years old. How strong will the power index be? Although the cultivation of the power index becomes more difficult as it progresses, currently it seems that Xia Lu cannot see the upper limit of Xia Yuan in front of him. That. Xia Lu remained silent for a while, then smiled again. Xia Yuan, do you remember what we agreed on? Xia Yuan looked at Xia Lu and nodded. Got it, Grandpa. Cannot easily display abilities in the outside world. I can't tell anyone that I have abilities. No matter who it is. Xia Yuan recited with some helplessness. These admonitions. Since he started admitting his faults, Grandpa and Xionggu have been teaching him and are impatient with him. But Xia Yuan also understands. It is highly likely that his talent and identity have attracted the attention of the Iron Time and Space Power Realm, and even the attention of the demonized Power Walker. Once discovered, his fate may be disastrous before he grows up. This also made Xia Yuan work harder to cultivate, wanting to quickly become so strong that he is not afraid of everything. He is well aware of the future outcome of Iron Time and Space, and knows the plot know what he will face. Diablo Demon Lord. The elder brother Xia Yu and the newly born younger brother Xia Yu, who were both killed in the supernatural battle. And the power realm ruled by Muggles. The future seems like an invisible darkness, even with the appearance of the ultimate Iron Man and various characters, it still cannot block the huge dark demon world. And it's an opportunity for change. After listening, Xia Lu touched Xia Yuan's head with satisfaction. By the way, Grandpa, didn't you say today, teach me superpowers? Xia Yuan looked at Gong, who had not yet started practicing supernatural powers. What about superpowers? It's not that simple. Upon hearing about the power technique, Xiao Yuan, as an old monster in the power world and a master in the power world, has absolute say in this field and is also the source of his faith and confidence. He sat down and slowly explained to Xia Yuan the principles of superpowers and so on. A power is constructed from different energies, and when you cast it, you must ensure that the construction is 100% correct, otherwise you cannot cast the power. Even the simplest abilities have nearly 10,000 construction chains, making it very difficult to remember them clearly, let alone improve deep abilities. I'll teach you the simplest ability construction today. That is the most basic ability of our psychic travelers, the psychic shield. Speaking. Buzz. His palm energy surged, emitting a faint glow. Countless energies condensed and constantly flipped in his palm. In an instant, the flipped energy quickly spread throughout his body. Xia Yuan watched very seriously. How about it? Xia Lu smiled proudly. I used to, but it took me a full 10 days to remember this structure. Ordinary people. Even the most powerful ones take a month, while the average one takes 2 to 3 months. I'll show it again, you probably haven't seen it clearly yet. Xia Lu said, ready to perform. Just. When he hasn't finished speaking yet. Buzz. As Xia Yuan extended his palm, a faint white light energy surged. In an instant, just like Xia Lu, the energy quickly spread throughout Xia Yuan's body, and a faint white light appeared around him. Xia Lu. Xia Lu's eyes widened and her face looked bewildered. And the next second. This construction. There should be a problem. Xia Yuan's words made him even more confused. The new book set sail, seeking fresh flowers, review tickets, monthly tickets, and the 5th chapter will be released soon. It is a super cool and top-notch genius ultimate article, with an absolutely thrilling storyline seeking various data. As long as there is data, it will definitely not be Unix, and it will explode directly. If there are hundreds of fresh flowers and dozens of review tickets waiting, the author will update the 5th chapter immediately. The better the data, the stronger the first day update and support. Thank you to all readers. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 5. When did the psychic shield bounce back? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Construct. Yes, there is a problem. Xia Lu looked bewildered. He even recalled the time when he used this simple ability. No problem. Oh, is it possible that Xia Yuan had a problem with his performance? He is ultimately a beginner. Xia Lu adjusted her thinking and found it very correct. You're showing off. Xia Yuan was somewhat surprised and said, Grandpa, did you also see it? Speaking. He exerted himself again, and the speed was even slightly faster than before. No problem. It's perfect. Xiaoyo Grandpa looked bewildered, even somewhat shocked. How could it be so perfect? And can it be unleashed so quickly? He fell silent for a moment. The newly established confidence dissipated into thin air. What kind of monster has emerged from the Xia Lan Xingde family? After his silence, there was an uncontrollable shock. Ordinary people, it takes 2 to 3 months to learn how to construct and put it into practice. For those who are talented, it takes a month. At that time, they were also among the geniuses, and it took them a full 10 days. And most importantly, learning to cast and being proficient in casting are 2 different things. Just now, when learning to cast, the speed of casting will be very slow because being inexperienced makes the construction of abilities very complex. And his casting speed was only mastered after 20.30 years of casting. But what did he just see? Just learned application speed just like him. And just now seems like it's almost a little bit fast. What is this not a super monster? Even the knowledgeable Xia Lu, as an old monster of the Xia Lan Xingde family, had never seen such a perverted talent before. Grandpa, you misunderstood. And at this point, Xia Yuan shook his head and interrupted Xia Lu's shock. Xiao Lu instinctively looked at Xia Yuan with confusion. Obviously, I don't understand what Xia Yuan said. What I mean is, there is an issue with the construction of this psychic protective shield. Xia Yuan spoke very seriously. Just now, when Grandpa was using the power shield, Xia Yuan's eyes turned to the power he was using. Time passed in front of him, and in an instant, it changed incredibly slowly. Slowly until after seeing the power exerted by Grandpa, he saw the structure of this power spell clearly, and his brain remembered each structure clearly, imprinting it in his mind. Even, he had time to recall this structure a few times. So, when casting, his casting speed was almost close to that of Xiao Agon. At the same time, when casting, he noticed that the structure of this power spell seemed to have many flaws. Abilities. Construct. Have question. Xia Lu looked even more bewildered. At this moment, as a master of supernatural abilities, he seemed unable to speak. Yes. Xia Yuan nodded earnestly. Buzz. Speaking. He was in his hand, slowly casting the power shield until every structure was very clear. Grandpa, look at it. The energy connection between the 59th and 60th points is not smooth, and there is even a phenomenon of power rejection. I think this may be because the creator of this power spell did not do a good job in attribute opposition. You should know the attributes of the supernatural realm, Grandpa. This will lead to issues with the speed of using this ability and a decrease in its power. Xia Yuan pointed out the problem while exerting himself, and his expression was very serious, thinking seriously. There are still 169th points here, and the connection here is not a problem, but the problem here is, if we can connect this point to 595th points. The combination of the two energies will be better and have stronger power. There are 325 more. Xia Yuan kept talking and picked out 5 or 6 flaws. Grandpa, didn't you just say that the construction of a power is just a diagram? The higher and deeper the power, the more complex and exquisite it is constructed, making it even more difficult to understand. Just like each point has its own function, but if these points are moved to other places, their effect will be greater, injecting more energy into these points and even causing a qualitative change. And here, if this structure can be modified, it may produce some qualitative changes. Xia Yuan pointed. Immediately, his execution process slowed down once again, and under the bewildered gaze of Xia Lu, the familiar structure of Xia Lu changed directly at this moment, and just after the change, Xiao Yuan could clearly feel that the energy of the psychic protective shield seemed to be even more abundant. The effects that can be unleashed even though the same psychic energy is being unleashed, but there is a difference. Under the continuous correction of Xia Yuan, he made 4 or 5 full corrections, until the last one. Xia Lu saw that the psychic protective shield around his grandson Xia Yuan was fluctuating with different energies, forming a kind of flowing light that was constantly flowing. Xia Yuan felt his psychic protective shield, but it seemed unsatisfied and his brow furrowed. Sigh. He sighed, with a round face that looked somewhat helpless and cute. Unfortunately, there should be more shortcomings. I can sense them, but I don't know the specific problem. My knowledge is still not enough, it's too shallow. I think if I could learn more about the knowledge and construction of abilities, I should be able to see it. Xia Yuan spoke very seriously. Although he has a good talent, well, in his cognition, his talent is only good and his shortcomings can be seen, but ultimately he lacks the theory and knowledge of supernatural abilities. In a powerful mind, knowledge is needed to support it. He was able to see so many shortcomings with such shallow knowledge, although it was good, Xia Yuan always felt that it was not enough. Grandpa, use your powers to attack me. Xia Yuan said to Xiao Lu. Ah. Oh. Xiao Lu nodded in confusion and casually attacked Xia Yuan with his superpowers. Although he was a bit confused, he only used 500 points of superpower energy. Bang! When his psychic energy touched the psychic shield around Xia Yuan's body, directly trigger a ripple. But in the next second, bang! A force emerged from the protective cover, directly rebounding his earlier strength. Xia Lu suddenly widened her eyes. Ah! What is the situation? The power shield, this power spell, when will it rebound? The 5th update is here. I will write the 6th chapter later and continue to search for a wave of data. Tomorrow's flowers will be 2000, with 100 evaluation votes. Tomorrow's 7th update will be 3000, with 200 evaluation votes. 8th update. 4000 flowers, 300 evaluation votes, with 9 updates directly. 5400 will be 10 updates. The more data, the more intense it will be. Thank you to all readers for submitting the data. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 6 evolutionary powers. Grandpa also wants to ask for supernatural powers. You are listening at novel full.audio. No way. It's still too weak. Xia Yuan shook his head very seriously. If further improvements can be made. On the 69th point, directly connecting to the 800th point, will have even greater power. Xia Yuan murmured to himself. Xia Lu was on the side, with a bewildered expression, as if the teacher was lecturing on top, but he was listening below with a hazy and drowsy expression on his face. But the problem is, he is the master of supernatural abilities. What is your grandson really talking about? Why not say something he can understand? Do they really communicate on a language channel? Rao has experienced the power world's main demon battle, countless storms and battles, and now his brain seems to have crashed. So, Xiao Shiyuan, you need to improve and strengthen the power protection shield, and turn it on. Evolved. After thinking for a long time in Xia Yuan, Xia Lu finally fully realized. After reacting. It's just a big shock. My own grandson. A 4-year-old child. Surprisingly, an ancient ability that has been passed down to this day was improved and strengthened, and directly evolved into another ability. That's right. It's evolution. Xia Lu is very clear that the power shield, just used by her grandson, has undergone several changes and has completely changed its function. It can not only defend but also rebound. After Xia Lu reacted, she fell silent again. But how could this be possible? Although this power shield is the most basic power, it also comes from a long and ancient heritage. Countless power masters have studied it but have not found any ways to improve it. But now, you just learned it, and then you learned it. The casting speed is not slow, and you also improved and strengthened it, evolving this basic ability. Xia Lu finally reacted completely and stared at Xia Yuan in front of her, as if looking at a monster. Grandpa. Is it strange? Xia Yuan regained his senses and did not understand the Tao. Such a flawed power spell. You should be able to see it all, right? In his eyes, this ability spell can reveal 5 or 6 vulnerabilities at a glance, which are the 5 or 6 vulnerabilities he has improved. However, upon careful study, there are still many vulnerabilities among them. His first glance was completely different from the first glance of countless people. However, there are still many aspects that I don't understand. I may need to cultivate other abilities, learn more about ability theory and knowledge, in order to continue improving. Xia Yuan looked as if there were no major issues, which made Xia Lu almost vomit blood. Xia Lu didn't know how to explain for a while. Improve your abilities. Enhance your abilities. Evolutionary powers. This is what countless psychic practitioners want to do, but cannot do at all. From ancient times to the present, which one is not a stunning genius who can improve, strengthen, and evolve abilities? Even contemporary leaders cannot achieve it at all. What can be achieved has left a heavy mark in the history of supernatural abilities, becoming a legendary existence in the 12 time and space. And now his grandson, at the age of 4, easily achieved it. After the shock, Xiao Lu finally discovered the talent of his grandson in front of him is far more terrifying and powerful than he thought. Okay. Great. Xiao Lu looked at Xia Yuan in front of him as if he saw hope, the hope of reversing the situation in the 12 realms of time and space. However, after seeing hope, he was deeply worried. As a master of supernatural powers, he understood the cruelty of the supernatural world, and the heavy burden that weighs on the psychic beings in the realm of power. But soon, Xia Yuan's voice interrupted Xiao Lu's thinking. Grandpa, are there any other abilities? After studying it, Xia Yuan asked Xiao Lu Gong if he wanted to learn other power spells in order to fill his theoretical knowledge and knowledge gaps in power spells. You have everything you want to learn. Xiao Lu's grandfather spoke up, saying that he had originally intended to slowly teach the obedient grandson in front of him, but Xia Yuan's progress was beyond his control. It was better to teach him to the obedient grandson. He is looking forward to it very much now. With the innate talent of a obedient grandson in front of us. Future. Where exactly will we go? By the way. After Xiao Lu finished speaking, she suddenly remembered something and looked at Xia Yuan with a smile on her face. What's wrong, Grandpa? Xia Yuan instinctively took a step back. Cough. Xiao Lu coughed a few times and then spoke with some embarrassment. Grandpa has taught you so many power spells. Can you teach Grandpa the power shield you learned? Xiao Lu smiled and spoke with a hint of thieves. Xia Yuan blinked. Okay. Thank you for your support and investment data. Now there are 3,000 flowers and 100 evaluation votes. Today, there is a guaranteed 7th shift, and there are still 6 shifts left. Continue to search for data. If you want 10 shifts today, as long as there is data, keep your word. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 7 encountered. Little Huyen, did he find Luo Xiu? You are listening at novel full.audio. So. In the courtyard. The old and young began to learn abilities from each other. But what shattered Xiao Lu's confidence was that he taught his obedient grandson Xia Yuan the ability, and Xia Yuan always learned it quickly. And the evolved version of the power shield. He studied several times and his mastery was very slow. You should know that he can easily grasp this ability, which is a necessary defensive ability in combat. However, even if he is very familiar with the structure after advancing, learning it is very difficult. Yes. When constructing this energy, we need to first construct the 860th point. The sequence behind it has been disrupted and needs to be reconstructed. Xia Yuan is teaching very seriously. Xiao Lu listened attentively on the side. But what left him helpless was the familiar energy structure is now incredibly unfamiliar and difficult to learn. He ran it the way Xia Yuan did, but still made a mistake. Not right. At this point, reduce the energy a bit. The order is incorrect. Grandpa, you need to reconstruct it again. Grandpa, you need to control your energy well, otherwise the energy in this area is too high. Xia Yuan was giving careful guidance on the side, while Xiao Lu was like a novice with abilities, constantly repeating and failing, and then repeating and using them. Dad, Xia Yuan, what are you doing? Just as Xia Yuan was guiding Xiao Lu, Xiong stood at the door, looking at the scene in front of him with a bewildered expression. Myself, are you feeling dizzy? Xia Lan Xingde, the contemporary leader of the supernatural realm, is being taught supernatural abilities by her 4-year-old son. So. Has Xia Yuan started improving? strengthening, and evolving abilities. Upon hearing his father's account, Xionggu widened his eyes and couldn't believe it for a moment. After learning about this matter, Xiaoyu grandpa and Xionggu are even more determined not to expose anything about Xia Yuan. Not at all. And Shi and Xia Lu's protection is also very good. Now in the entire power world, those who know the Xia Lan Xingde family only know that the Xia Lan Xingde family has a second child, a son named Xia Yuan, and the rest are unknown. Most people believe that the second child of the Xia Lan Xingde family, like the first child, is also a muggle. Many familiar families feel regretful that an ancient family with outstanding military achievements and high moral standards actually has a double muggle. Everything about Xia Yuan is relatively secretive and mysterious, but as a muggle, it has not attracted excessive attention from other psychic practitioners. Time flows. Xia Yuan is 6 years old. This year, his sister Xia Mei was born. Summer is 2 years old. The whole family gathered around Xia Mei, who had just been born, and looked at the little baby lying quietly in the crib. Xia happily and vaguely spoke. Big, 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 big. Oh, we have a younger sister now, eh? He is very young, but also intelligent. He quickly understands how to speak and express himself. Now, he has an innocent face, but with a happy smile, he warmly welcomes his sister's arrival. Yes. Xia Yu nodded. At the age of 7, as the boss, he looked at his younger brother and sister in front of him with a smile. Xia Yuan stood by the crib, watching the sleeping Xia Mei, not as mischievous as he had seen in his past life. Instead, he peacefully slept in the crib. In his past life, while watching TV dramas, he hated the Xia Mei inside. But now, looking at his sister lying in the crib and the summer beside him, an indescribable sense of responsibility arises in his heart, not for any reason, just because he is his brother, this is his own younger brother and sister. Afraid, lonely, and in trouble, they only find their own brothers and sisters to rely on. The sense of responsibility from his bloodline made him feel the warmth of home for the first time, and he also had a responsibility to teach Xia and Xia Mei well, especially Xia Mei. Ability Index. Not enough. Xia Yuan thought to himself that he had a stronger desire to become stronger. He knows very well. Future. What kind of things will happen? And his current power index is only 12,000 points, even if he is already a high-level power practitioner, it is still far from enough. Also stronger. In the blink of an eye. Xia Yuan entered first grade. For Xia Yuan, this is very painful, after all, following a group of children who don't understand anything and going to the elementary school he has already attended every day is either boring or boring. With this time, he even wants to use it to cultivate supernatural abilities. However, in order to prevent him from being too eye-catching, Xionggu and Grandpa had to send him to school, just like an ordinary person, attending elementary school, middle school, high school, and university. But Xia Yuan couldn't bear this boredom, so he often skipped classes. Faced with such a mischievous Xia Yuan, the teachers were helpless. After all, every time Xia Yuan took an exam, he could easily get full marks. Over time, Xia Yuan could only be ignored, but parents would definitely have to sue him. However, Xia Yuan directly moved out his father Yi Siren. Yi Siren was terrified, but he also knew that his son was not easy. He simply helped Xia Yuan block the trouble of the teacher reporting to Xiongga and Grandpa. In the afternoon. The sunlight is a bit dazzling. Xia Yuan walked out of elementary school and looked at the bustling streets. He stretched lazily and walked towards the secret base he had found. The secret base is a remote place with fewer people around it, making it a great place to practice supernatural abilities. However, just when he arrived at a remote place, Xia Yuan sensed power fluctuations. His gaze. In an instant, he locked himself in a secluded corner, which was a small open space. On that open space, a child not much older than him was reciting a spell with a serious expression on his face, exerting his powers. At a young age, his expression was very solemn, his brows furrowed, and he was diligently practicing his abilities, but he still failed despite using them multiple times. Xia Yuan saw it at a glance. The abilities exhibited by that child are extremely complex in construction, even comparable to the Kiran pulsed light package given to him by a bus. And that child, although very young, had a face that Xia Yuan was very familiar with. Interesting. Xia Yuan smiled. His mind. Emerge a name. Huyan Jueluo Xiu. He didn't expect to meet Xiu here. Judging from the timeline of the TV series, Xiu's age is not very old. At the beginning of the Iron Time and Space storyline, Xia was 18 years old, and Xiu should also be in his 20s. And Xia Yuan is 4 years older than Xia, so Xiu's age should be similar to him. Construct. That should be the ancestral power technique of the Huyan Jueluo family, the mind-capturing technique. Xia Yuan immediately recognized the abilities that were being corrected during practice and use. He is now continuing various types of abilities. Grandpa taught him many basic abilities, some of which have special functions or powerful abilities that are inherited from other families and cannot be easily passed down. But if you want to strengthen, improve, or even evolve abilities, Xia Yuan needs a huge amount of knowledge about abilities. Basic abilities alone cannot meet Xia Yuan's needs. With sufficient knowledge and theory of abilities, Xia Yuan can continuously strengthen and improve, and ultimately evolve abilities directly. Even the lowest level abilities can evolve to higher levels, even more terrifying. The more complex the construction of abilities, the more profound the abilities, and the greater the enhancement for Xia Yuan. So Xia Yuan naturally needs the mind-capturing technique that can be practiced in distant places. Not to mention it. The mind-taking technique itself is a higher-order ability, and if it is improved and strengthened, it is unknown what stage it will evolve to. Watching Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu, who was diligently training, Xia Yuan blinked and slowly walked over. It's really difficult. Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu felt slightly disheartened. This ability he practiced for a full month. Can progress. But very slowly. He, known as the most talented warrior in the Huyan Jueluo family, couldn't help but feel discouraged when faced with the ancestral ability learning of Huyan Jueluo, especially after practicing for a month, his progress was still so slow. According to the elders in the clan, this ability, once the most legendary existence of the Huyan Jueluo family, took 2 months to learn, but his progress in a month was less than 10%. Really, can anyone learn in 2 months? Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu even had doubts, and his small cheeks were full of doubts. Fundamentally impossible. He shook his head, ready to continue practicing. But at this point, he suddenly sensed something and looked straight back. Back. A child wearing a primary school uniform, about his age, was walking slowly towards him. 7 updates are still 5 updates away. Go to bed first, get up and continue updating, and ask for various data. Another 100 evaluation votes, directly 8 updates, 200 evaluation votes and 1000 flowers, directly 9 updates. Rush. It's already 15,000 words. Strive to give everyone more 30,000 or even 40,000 words on the first day. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 8. The Shock of Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu. 6, 7. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The child, with chubby cheeks and white and cute features, was most eye-catching, as if there was a light in his eyes, leisurely walking over. Who are you? Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu became serious, his small cheeks and eyebrows furrowed, very serious, but his age was only 7 or 8 years old, and he looked a bit cute. Speaking. Between his palms, energy slightly condensed, as if he was ready to take action at any moment. It seems that you have encountered difficulties in cultivating your abilities. Me. I can help you. Xia Yuan opened his mouth with a smile, his white cheeks making him look harmless. The ancestral power of Huyan Jueluo cannot be transmitted externally, but help me. Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu looked up and down at Xia Yuan in front of him. But soon. He shook his head seriously. You can't help me. He looked carefully at Xia Yuan in front of him, as if speaking a very definite fact. Because you're not as powerful as me. He spoke very seriously. At the same time, what he said is another fact, at least it is what he believes. Who is he? The current genius of the Huyan Jueluo family, the entire Huyan Jueluo family, has the highest talent. Whether it is the speed of cultivating abilities or comprehending abilities, it is very terrifying. At the age of 8, the power index has already reached 5,000 points. Become a true mid-level superpower practitioner. The 5,000-point power index is not high, but those who can reach this level at the age of 8 are rare in the entire power world. He is more confident that before the age of 18, the power index will exceed 20,000 points. Such a powerful talent. In the entire world of abilities they are all top-notch beings. Whether it's the white way or the demon way. So. He naturally has this arrogance, as well as this confidence, and has spoken out the facts he believes. After all, even a top genius like him, who has been practicing for a month and only has the ability to touch the surface, doesn't think anyone can comprehend it faster than him. No. It can even be said that he is very confident, no one can use a month's time to practice better than him. Speaking. It seems that in order to verify what Xia Yuan was saying to Xia Yuan in front of him, Xiao Huyan Jueluo's ability aura fluctuated on his body, and he directly began to raise his ability index. 1,000, 3,000. 5,000, a faint golden hue swirled around Xiu's body with a blue glow. As a top genius, Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu, although he will become the commander of the East City Guard in the future, and he himself is calm and composed, now he is just a child, unavoidably proud and wanting to show off his inner self. Buzz. Boom. After exploding the power index. Stop. His palm energy condensed, and a huge energy rushed forward, transforming into a light curtain several meters long and wide, blocking Xia Yuan's footsteps just 1 meter away. Although there is no intention of attacking, it is also showing off one's own strength, the child's nature, making him want to show off his strength and talent. But the next second. Upon hearing the words of Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu, Xia Yuan's footsteps did not stop, moving forward step by step. So. Not necessarily. The smile on Xia Yuan's face was even stronger. Buzz. Boom. Next second. A power index that made Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu terrify rose like a towering wave. A faint white light directly permeated Xia Yuan's entire body. 3,000, 6,000. 8,000 in an instant. Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu sensed a power index of 8,000 points. And while a child of the same age who was dressed in elementary school and looked only 1 or 2 years younger than him continued to move forward, the 8,000-point ability index surprisingly still fluctuating. Still soaring. Dot. Dot. Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu stood still, his agile eyes wide open, staring ahead as if he had seen an incredible scene and fell into a deep freeze. Gulu. Subconsciously. He swallowed his throat. And this swallowing also bring him back to his senses. At the same time, he discovered the guy in front of me, who is even smaller than him, has a power index, and surprisingly it has skyrocketed to 10,000 points. And still there. Soaring. How? Possible. His voice was somewhat intermittent, obviously shocked, and his speech became somewhat ambiguous. 10,000 points. That's 10,000 points. The standard for high-level psychic practitioners. And this guy in front of me, his age, looks 1 or 2 years younger than him. 6 or 7 years old, 10,000 point power index. This what kind of monster is this? Third update. The flowers are already 10,000 yuan, with 200 review votes and a guaranteed 8th update. This morning, there were 2 updates, and with this update, we still need 5 more updates. Keep updating. Just got up, everyone has been waiting for a long time. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 9 Xia Yuan's teachings, Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. A power index of 10,000 points at the age of 6 or 7, directly making Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu's head seem to have crashed. He looked incredulously at the child who walked step by step, seemingly harmless to humans and animals. It's not that he's ignorant. On the contrary. As a descendant of the Huyan Jueluo family of warriors, his knowledge and insight are very profound, but it is this profound knowledge that has made him so shocked. If it weren't for his lack of understanding, perhaps it's just a power index that will shake the child in front of them. But he knew very well that at the age of 6 or 7, he could break 10,000 points in his ability index, which could no longer be described as a genius. But it's a monster. Even if you browse through the ancient texts of the entire world of superpowers, there has never been such a terrifying record of both the righteous and demonic realms, let alone any superpower practitioner who was able to reach this height during this time period. Even in ancient texts that make the demon world fearful, their power index does not exceed 7,000 points at the age of 6 or 7. This is also in the current history of the entire power world. At the age of 6 or 7, the highest power index that can be achieved. As a descendant of the Huyan Jueluo family, his body is infused with the blood of the warrior Huyan Jueluo family. In the entire power world, his talent and power index are among the top talents in this age group. Faced with the child in front of him, who was even younger than him, little Huyan Jueluo Xiu felt his cognition and knowledge completely overturned, and his confidence was completely shattered. Fake. Is it fake? He murmured to himself. Just. Bang. Xia Yuan took another step forward. Under the shocked expression of Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu, the energy shield he set up instantly just smashed it directly. Energy dissipates without a trace. Dot. 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 Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu fell silent. It has been proven that I am stronger than you. Xia Yuan walked up to Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu, with a smile on his face, talking about a fact. You can tell me about the process of deployment and construction. I can help you take a look. Xia Yuan felt a little guilty and touched his nose. Xia Yuan, who is well aware that ancestral powers cannot be transmitted externally, can only use the simplest and most childish method. Cheating children. The process of using and constructing such profound abilities is naturally not that simple. Even Xia Yuan, if he wants to learn and practice, he must let Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu slow down the process of using them. Only then will there be a chance to see clearly the process of deployment and construction. Otherwise, follow the normal deployment process, it's impossible to remember and become proficient quickly, like learning basic abilities. Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu blinked his eyes, slightly regaining consciousness, but he had not fully realized it yet. So. He nodded and said, As he spoke, he planned to slowly apply it again. After practicing for a month, although he could only proficiently apply the first 10%, he remembered very well the complete analysis of application and construction. From here, he began to exert himself. But it is being exerted. But suddenly stopped. No way. He suddenly shook his head very seriously. Xia Yuan. Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiu spoke seriously, this is our ancestral ability, I cannot tell you. Our mnemonic, implementation, and construction analysis cannot be said. Xia Yuan. It seems that. It's not so easy to deceive. Cough. Xia Yuan touched his nose and spoke with a somewhat mature expression. Actually, it doesn't matter if you tell me. The construction of these abilities is very complex, and no one can remember them in such a short time. But I can help you point out the problem. Xia Yuan spoke seriously. Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiu blinked seriously, as if thinking. Yes. He nodded, feeling that what Xia Yuan said was very reasonable. Of course. He is not foolish, this is also his personal experience of cognition. As a top genius, he spent a long time memorizing these structures, analyses, and mnemonics, and practiced for a full month. They can only proficiently construct the first 10%, while the latter is very complex. And the reason why he appears here is also because he wants to improve as soon as possible. The family has time to cultivate abilities, and the rest of the time, he also needs to learn other things. In order to improve as soon as possible, he can only practice secretly on his own. But even so, the progress is still very slow. So, even if he tells the guy in front of him, he cannot remember or even practice it in a short time. Not to mention, the structure of the mind-taking technique can be memorized in hundreds of thousands of places, who can remember it in a short time? Unless it's a monster. So, Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiu spoke very seriously, and at the same time, he made the process of casting very slow. Xia Yuan listened attentively on the side. Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu did not know the truly terrifying aspect of Xia Yuan in front of me. The mnemonic he said, the structure he spoke, and the structure he applied all fell word for word in Xia Yuan's ears and eyes, stored in his mind. Xia Yuan's brain, like a computer, has an astonishing and terrifying memory. Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiu's construction is very slow. Although his practice progress is slow, he can fully demonstrate the construction, but the process and construction are bumpy. Until the end. It can't produce any effect at all. Wrong. Xia Yuan interrupted Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiu's casting after completing his first and second casting. The energy released by you here is too much, which can lead to unstable energy structure. You reduced the ability by a portion. He pointed out. Oh, good. Xia Huyan Jueluo nodded in confusion and instinctively followed Xia Yuan's instructions. Result. Really, he was pleasantly surprised to find that, as Xia Yuan had said, he had directly completed these dozen or so structures. He was stuck in these dozen or so places for a long time before, and every time he couldn't unleash it here. This place. And this place. Xia Yuan began to give guidance. In just a few minutes, Xia Yuan pointed out several mistakes made by Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiu. Either there is too much energy, or there is a construction error, or there is an incomplete construction in a certain area. The problem with Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiu was pointed out by Xia Yuan one by one. Under the continuous guidance of Xia Yuan, Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiu began to slowly cast, and this time, although his casting process was bumpy, he successfully cast the mind-taking technique in the final casting process. Although the process is very long, the effect and power of the mind-capturing technique used are less than 1/10, and a successful use may already represent his success. Did I succeed? Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiu looked at his mind-capturing technique in disbelief. Although the process and the results of implementation are very ugly. But he success. You know. Before him, he had practiced for a full month and could only proficiently construct 10% of the previous structures. It is impossible for him to successfully execute them. But now in just a few hours, he went from being unable to use it to successfully using it. He remembered that even the most terrifying supernatural practitioner in the Huyan Jueluo family took 2 months to successfully unleash his abilities. And he had only took a month. Still 4 more to go, Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 10 monsters or demons. You are listening at novel full.audio. But at this point. No way. Xia Yuan looked at Xiu's successful use of the mind-taking technique ability, but shook his head very seriously. Buzz. Under the gaze of Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu. Xia Yuan's palm condensed energy and constructed the energy of the mind-capturing technique at a speed that was countless times faster than him. To the end. Directly apply the mind-capturing technique successfully. The energy of the mind-capturing technique is condensed in the hands of Xia Yuan, waiting for an attack at any time. Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiu regained his senses from the surprise and gradually realized that something was wrong. And I realized a lot was not right. Myself, it seems that did the guy in front of him, who is even smaller than him, teach him. That's right. It's the child in front of me who is even younger than him, guiding him step by step and teaching him directly. After realizing this, Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiu's brain became even more paralyzed. He seemed to have those 4 big characters floating in his mind again. How could it be? You should know that the elder in the family who is most proficient in mastering the technique of telepathy is the one who teaches and guides him. However, even that elder can only guide him to this step within a month. Now a child he knew who was younger than him had a higher ability index, like a monster or a demon. In just a few hours, he was guided to practice the mind-capturing technique that he couldn't practice for a month. Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiu only felt that his cognitive view was completely overturned at this moment. Of course, the most shocking thing is, if you could be here. Connect the 7,000 points with the 7th 6,695 points, and the construction process will be fast, reducing many errors. Xia Yuan pointed out the shortcomings of Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiu, which also led to the weak effectiveness and power of his abilities. Power technique. It's just a graph, a circular graph, constructed as lines connected together, point to dot point. When the energy of a special ability appears, it will follow the construction of the mnemonic. The most important role of mnemonics is to control the magnitude of energy and how complex structures are completed. And these, in Xia Yuan's eyes, can be quickly remembered and skillfully controlled. At the moment of seeing the ability, the gaze begins to slow down and every point is clearly remembered. The size of the energy and the different structures are not a problem in his eyes. As long as he can see them, he can practice them. The only slower one is proficiency. With his current proficiency, he cannot achieve the effect of rapid casting, but he is more than enough to guide little Huyan Jueluo Xiu and see his problems. It seems that. That's true. Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiu was interrupted and shocked. Listening to Xia Yuan's guidance in front of him, he also saw his own problem. Subsequently, Xia Yuan continued to point out several issues during the process of using Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiugang, and Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiugang was shocked to find that if he followed the instructions of this guy in front of him, he may soon be able to use the power of mind-taking technique normally. And after several explanations, Xia Yuan. The structure of this place. If you could make some modifications. He said. Energy fluctuations. Buzz. Next second. The mind-taking technique was once again used, and Xia Huyan Jueluo Xiu clearly felt that the energy and power of the mind-taking technique seemed to have increased. Unfortunately, I haven't mastered it yet, otherwise I should be able to improve even more. At present, there are only a few areas that can be improved. Xia Yuan was quite distressed. Do you remember? He looked at Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu and asked if Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu remembered the changes he had just made. Remember. Remember. Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu nodded earnestly. That's about it. Xia Yuan nodded. Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu also nodded along. But soon. Not right. He immediately realized a very serious problem. His eyes were fixed on Xia Yuan in front of him, as if I saw a monster. A demon. A great terror. Just now what happened? After Xia Yuan finished his explanation, Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu's mind seemed to have recovered quite a bit, and suddenly he reacted. He practiced his ancestral and advanced psychic skill, mind-taking technique, for a month, no, even more than a month, but in just a few hours, did this guy learn? No. Not only for learning, but also for application, even faster than him countless times. The most important thing is that not only did he succeed in his performance, but he even guided himself so that he could also succeed in his performance. The most important thing is not only did he guide him to successfully use it, but he also improved his ancestral psychic skill, mind-taking technique. A few hours. Learning advanced psychic skills can also guide him to learn and improve his psychic skills. Send what happened. At this moment, Xiao Huyan Jueluo Xiu only felt like he wanted to doubt life. Of course. He also realized a very serious problem. Myself seems like he leaked his ancestral powers. Or rather, his ancestral ability was stolen by this guy in front of him. Still updating, Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.